Today we're talking about my pocket knife collection. Let's check it out.
So I thought it'd be easier if we changed camera views and got into the pocket knives like this to give you an up close view. So we'll start off with what was my very first pocket knife. I can't remember the model name right now, but this is an old buck pocket knife. This was, and as you can see, it's very well used. I can really remember growing up outside in the woods with my younger brother, using this all the time, throwing it at trees, carving sticks, all the good stuff. Me and my family would oftentimes go up to the Smoky Mountains and go to Smoky Mountain Knife Works, and this is where I had purchased this knife at a very young age. So this old buck, probably the first pocket knife that I still own that I have not lost. Great pocket knife. Buck makes some of the best knives that you can buy, in my opinion, and they're American made, so plus on that front as well. Let's see, what do we want to get into next? We have this Kershaw. I can't remember the name of this one either. This was a gift from my dad. Often, and a theme you'll notice is 90% of the knives that I own have been gifted to me. This one here is a flipper. It's not the best actuating flipper, but it's got this really nice drawn out blade. Very thin, very light to carry in the pocket. Great gift from my dad. Speaking of gifts, the next few were definitely gifts. This Kershaw Skyline was given to me as a groom's gift to be in my cousin's wedding. It did have the black acid wash on the Damascus blade, but for some reason I thought it would be a great idea a while back to try to rub all that off with a Scotch-Brite pad. Do not know why I thought that was a smart decision, but that's what I did. And now we have a Skyline that looks like this. Another good pocket knife. Does not really find that much time in the pocket anymore. Just don't really like the way it feels in the pocket. It's not the best actuating. It's good with the flipper, but, the thumb stud, but I'm not really a huge fan of flippers. Maybe I just haven't found the one to convert me yet, but Kershaw Skyline, let's see. Another gift. One of my close childhood friends gave me this old Leatherman pocket knife when I can't even remember how old. Another good classic knife. I don't even think they make this Leatherman model anymore, and as you can see, old, dirty, used a lot. Has this interesting flipper on it. If you'll notice, it's not solid. It actually moves and then engages the blade. I don't know if y'all can see that. It'll move down and then engage the blade, causing it to flip up. Let's see. I might be able to get it if I put enough wrist behind it. There we go. But another good gift that I was given. When I graduated from high school, my dad put together, knowing how much I love knives, a gift bag, if you will, and a knife roll of a bunch of different pocket knives. And this was one. It's one of the old trusty dusties, the K-bar dozers. And this is still one of the sharpest knives in my collection. I don't carry it that often, but this thing, I mean, it could castrate a fly. Is sharp enough. It's very sharp. It'll pop hairs like nothing else. But Kershaw dozer. This is in my opinion, this is one of the best lower budget folders you can get. Extremely thin, extremely lightweight, quality lock. I love if you'll notice, I love the thumb hole. I'm a huge Spyderco person. We'll get into those here soon, but K-bar dozer, another solid, lightweight, thin pocket knife. And if you'll notice, I have a certain size preference right around the size of these two. I love, not saying I don't like a bigger knife, but something in this range is truly my optimal size. One of the first knives I ever bought for myself that was not a gift is this SOG Mini Aegis, and this thing has absolutely been beat to all get out. Has a lot of rock in it now to this day, but growing up, tromping around the woods, going to friends' houses for sleepovers, this was the knife that got me through. So I still love this knife. I would love to see SOG come out with a updated and premium version of this knife, even if it wasn't assisted. But I just love the blade shape. I love a blade that can get like a splinter out of your hand or do whatever you need to with it. So this is one of my favorite blade shapes that I have. Even though this doesn't end up in the pocket that much, I love the blade shape. Let's see. Another quality budget knife, this Rat Model 2. One of my favorite budget knives that I own, this Rat Model 2. I think this is, I can't remember what, Aus 8 is the steel on this one. I absolutely love this pocket knife. This is one of my, if I had to rank budget favorites, this would be in one of the top knives that I own as a budget favorite. It's just a solid knife. I love the blade shape. I love the way the handle feels. I love the green. One thing you'll notice, typically I own black and green. That's two of my favorite knife colors. Let's see, what else do we have here? Another gift. This is a Sencut. I cannot remember the name of it off the top of my head. I think it's the Orion or Orsis, maybe. It has a very Egyptian god sounding name, but another solid choice. This is typically when I'm traveling and I don't want to take one of my more nice knives in case I lose it or leave it at a hotel. This is the one that ends up in my pocket. It's got OD green, micarta scales. I'm a absolute sucker for micarta after owning this knife. It's got the really deep pocket clip, stonewash blade. I absolutely love this knife. This is my number one budget pick. It flings like nothing else. This is a super, super solid knife. Let's see. Another flipper. This is, I think it's the Civivi Backlash. This was a gift from my younger brother for Christmas this year, actually. It's got this massive drop point blade. I think this is a drop point. I'm not 100% sure. I'm really bad with blade names. It's got this really nice finger choil, so you can even get right up on that big blade and do some hard cutting task. It's a flipper, but this flipper, it does not miss. And that's one thing I've noticed in the few Civivi knives I've handled is Civivi really does not miss with a flipper. So awesome, awesome flipper knife here. Okay, let's break into my Spydercos. So this is my Spyderco Endura 4. This was another knife that was in the gift bag my dad put together for me when I graduated high school. And this, you want to talk about a workhorse of a knife. This is an absolute workhorse. It's in VG10. It's got the FDE scales with the multi-directional texturing. It's super thin in pocket for how big this knife is. And I've got pretty big hands, but in this knife even, it goes past my hand. It fills the hand up, but it disappears in pocket just because of how thin it is. We were talking about how thin the Skyline is, and in comparison, this massive knife is about the thickness of a Skyline, but you get a whole lot more blade to work with. I've used this for everything from cutting apples to cutting sod when doing sod installation. This thing's taking a beating and it just keeps coming back, and I love this knife. It still finds its way into my pocket when I've got a lot of hard work to do. This ends up in the pocket typically. One of my, typically, you'll notice I carry 3 knives mainly. And this is one of the 3 knives that finds its way in my pocket. This is the Spyderco Native 5 Lightweight in S110. This is one of the, and you'll notice it's got actually a little food on it up on top. This is one of the knives that, and I use my knives. I don't just let them sit in the knife roll or in the drawer and collect dust. I use every single one of my pocket knives. But this is one of the best everyday carry knives I've ever carried. And you can fight me on that all you want. But the lightweight Native 5, I mean, it just melts into the hand. It's got that beautiful belly on this leaf-shaped blade. It's got the lock back. I mean, this is not budging. It's a little bit thicker in the pocket, yes, but, I mean, look at the blade stock on that knife. I mean, it's a solid piece of S110. And this is also one of the best food prep pocket knives, especially for the blade shape. I oftentimes, if I do 90% of the cooking in my house, and when I'm cooking and I have a knife in my pocket, typically I'm just going to reach for it versus one of the kitchen knives. And this knife is phenomenal for cutting apples, slicing cheese, any basic cutting task in the kitchen. This one does phenomenal with. Obviously, I need to clean it up a little bit before I cook anything with it. But this is one of the 3 knives that ends up in my pocket more than any of the others. The Spyderco Lightweight Native 5. One of my Benchmades, I like Benchmades too, is this Benchmade Grip Tillion. This is a phenomenal knife. This is another one that I got from my dad in my graduation gift bag when I graduated high school several years ago. But this one oftentimes finds its way into my pocket every now and then. I carried it yesterday actually and was reminded how much I do enjoy this pocket knife. I've been thinking about putting the Applied Weapons Tech scales on it. They make aluminum scales for the Benchmade Grip Tillion, and I've really been thinking about blacking it out, or, as you can see with my love for green, throwing some OD green aluminum scales on this just to spice it up a little bit. Let me know in the comments if you think I should start a series on transforming the Benchmade bug out into an optimal pocket knife for everyday carry. Because currently, this boy is just thick. I mean, it fills the hand, it feels great, but it's a monster in the pocket. I don't know why. It's kind of interesting. The Spyderco, I think because of how thin it is, it disappears in the pocket. But this Benchmade, I mean, it makes its presence in the pocket known, and especially working here at the church, oftentimes I don't want something that's going to protrude extremely from my pocket. Everybody knows you're carrying this when you're carrying it. So, but still, phenomenal pocket knife. Benchmade makes some quality stuff. Also, axis lock. I mean, you can't complain. I know now the patent is up and everybody can make the axis lock or the able lock or the clutch lock, are many other common terms, but Benchmade was the first to do it, and they do a great job with it. The second knife that finds its way into my pocket the most is the trusty, the dusty, the 940. This is probably, out of all the knives on the table, this is my most carried pocket knife. I love everything about it. I love how the 940 feels in the pocket. It just disappears. I love the way the scales feel. I love that utilitarian blade shape. Again, there's food left on this pocket knife from the last time I used it. I think I cut a PB&J for my daughter with this pocket knife. I use my knives. It's got the axis lock in. I don't know what it is with the axis lock on this one versus the Benchmade Grip Tillion I just showed you, but this one, I mean, it just absolutely, there's zero resistance. I mean, it free swings. So I love this 940. This was a gift for my brother after he completed boot camp in the United States Army. Thank you to him, and thank you to all of our service members that may be watching this video. We love and support you in any way we can. But the Benchmade 940 is probably my most carried and probably my favorite pocket knife that I own. I love this pocket knife. And should I say my favorite locking pocket knife? Because now we're getting into the section of traditionals. I have several traditional pocket knives. I've really taken an affinity to them as of late. We have the Swiss Army knife. I mean, everybody has a Swiss Army knife, and everybody should own a Swiss Army knife. They're just phenomenal knives, super slicey, super utilitarian. It's got the tweezers, it's got the toothpick. I mean, you really can't go wrong having this somewhere near you for your EDC. This one here, I believe, is the Cadet. It's got the bottle opener and can opener, as well as two small blades, one larger, as you can see, and then one smaller blade. Now, I have cut myself various times with pocket knives, but this one has given me the nastiest cut I have ever gotten. Was closing it, and it closed on my finger right there where that white dot is, and went in and hit the nail and cut around. But this is one of my favorite cases. I love case knives. I love the heritage with a case knife. This is the Case Copper Lock in yellow burl birch. I think it's either curly birch or yellow burl. I love this like mini Bowie blade shape. I absolutely love it. This is one that just, I mean, it's super thin, super sleek. Oftentimes when I'm in the office here at the church, instead of carrying one of my bigger folding knives, I'll carry one of these traditionals. It's just kind of fits the attire, if you will, to have one of these smaller knives on me versus a bigger folder. But I absolutely love this case knife, this Case Copper Lock. Thanks to my parents for this as a Christmas present, or birthday present last year, actually. Another case knife. Me and my dad both love case knives, so we share and exchange a lot of knives. This is a Seahorse Whittler in orange bone. Absolutely love this knife. It's got this massive Warncliffe blade on it. I mean, you can really move some material. This is one of the best carving knives that I own. Absolutely phenomenal. And it's got two separate little blades on it here. We have your typical little drop point, and then a little warny right there. Or I don't know. I get mention in the comments, is that a Warncliffe or is that a sheep's foot? And how do you tell the difference? But love this knife. Well, that brings us to the end of my pocket knife collection, and now on to what I'm carrying today. On the wrist, as always, is the Orient. I absolutely love this knife. It's an automatic. I let it die. I need to change the date and time on it, but just threw it on before coming in this morning. As always, cup of coffee. Y'all know me. Cup of coffee is an essential part of every day for me. In the pockets, we've got handkerchief, just in case I lose it. It's got C on it for Carson, so everybody knows this is mine. Handkerchief has been an important piece of the EDC that has really came in handy as of late. I officiated a wedding on Saturday, and if any of you are in the South, you know it was hot on Saturday. And when you're asked to wear a black suit to officiate a wedding that is outside at 5 o'clock, a handkerchief to wipe your sweat is very essential. Or blow your nose, clean your knife off, clean your sunglasses. I would highly recommend everybody carrying a handkerchief. Next, in the back pocket, the wallet. I have absolutely fallen in love with this Open Sea Leather Hubei 2.0. I love it. It's got, I mean, as you could see by the knives, I'm a huge fan of green. It's got this green and this Cuban brown. I mean, it's an absolutely beautiful wallet, and it has broken in phenomenally since Christmas when my wife gifted me this. So thank you to her, and thank you to Open Sea Leather for making some phenomenal products. Now, I don't know if anybody caught on to it, but I said I carry 3 knives on a pretty avid rotation, and the third one is in my pocket currently, and that is this Case Mini Sodbuster, or Sodbuster Junior, in carbon steel. If you'll notice, I've let it get a little rust on it, but a lot of it is just that carbon steel weathering. Typically, I have either this knife in my pocket or the Spyderco Native 5 or the Benchmade 940, but I absolutely love this Case Mini Sodbuster. It just melts into the hand. I love the traditionals, and this is my favorite traditional I own. I love gray, is probably one of my favorite colors, so the gray bone is phenomenal. It's extremely thin for just comparison. Kershaw Skyline versus this. I mean, about the same size. It's super tiny. And I really think everybody should own at least one traditional. I think it really makes you a lot more conscious about your cuts you make and everything else. So the Case Mini Sodbuster is a definite in my EDC rotation. That, the Benchmade 940, and the Spyderco Native 5. These 3 here are the 3 that are in the heavy rotation the most often. Thanks for watching the video. If you want to learn anything more about me or have any comments, suggestions on videos you would like to see, please drop them in the comments below. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you for the next video.